We are jumping right into this, and the best part about this is today is Pie Day. So at the end of this video, we're going to be wrapping up with a review of the new JJ's Bakery Coconut Cream Pie. After my last pie video, which was not on Pie Day, I stopped by the store and I found two new pies. Don't know why I was having trouble coming up with that word, but the coconut cream pie and then a lemon cream pie. I've already eaten the lemon cream pie because I wanted to, and it was delicious. It was a lot better than the lemon, and it actually said new. The coconut cream pie, I've never seen it before, so we'll try that as a wrap up for this Pie Day video. And because, pie saves the world. Are we going to save the world using the magical power of pie? Absolutely. Today is Pie Day, and we will use all of the assets we have to our disposal to save the world with the magical power of pie. I'm not sure which direction I'm supposed to go because this is flipped. But anyway, let's get back to the main topic of this video. I discovered today, while I was at the store, the same store I got the coconut cream pie from, that there is some new soups in the soup aisle. They're Progresso Toppers. Chicken, in this case, it's chicken noodle soup with oyster crackers. The neat thing about them, it's a packaged soup. You just pop it in the microwave for a minute and a half. And when you pull it out, it's nice and toasty hot. One thing I noticed, they do have a tendency to pop a little bit, so it's probably best to cook them on a plate. I did not cook mine on a plate, but it comes with this top part, almost like you'd see on funfetti sprinkle frosting. And it's got some kind of topping on it. In this case, just ordinary oyster crackers. So what we've done, we have 5 different varieties. There are 5 flavors. I'm not sure if that's how many flavors are available, but that is how many the store stocked. So we are going to be trying them all. The first one, in order of how hot they still are from when I heated them up just a little bit ago. Chicken and noodle with oyster crackers. The second one will be chicken tortilla with tortilla strips. Let me pull this lid off carefully and show you the tortilla strips. There we go. It's the rainbow colored tortilla strips. Then I'm going to keep myself organized here. After that, we'll be trying the broccoli cheese soup with oyster crackers. It's the same oyster crackers as the chicken noodle has. I mean, it's a different package of them, but same style, same appearance. Just like regular, ordinary soup oyster crackers. This one smells pretty good. This is the loaded potato soup with fried onion strings. I'm a huge fan of French fried onions and French fried jalapenos. I've also had French fried red bell peppers, and those are fantastic. I'm going to continue to work on looking at the camera and not at the monitor above it, because I'm noticing that's a thing. That's the joy of Unexpectedly Random. You get the weird stuff in with the video. Some people might call it unpolished, but I call it authentic. So that's where we're at. So the loaded potato soup has the French fried onions on top of them. That little, can't think of the word. But yeah, the funny sounds and stuff, if my microphone monitor didn't pull it out, is noise. And finally, the last one, and the one that I'm probably looking forward to the most, is tomato basil soup with cheddar crackers. And the cheddar crackers are like little Cheez-Its, or cheese nips, whichever you know or prefer. So we have these little guys. They come in there. Let me get my trash bag over here closer for these top films. So as far as the cooking instructions, it says, and I didn't follow them exactly, I'll admit that. That's why we're not sampling these based on their heat and their temperature. We're only looking for what their taste is. So the instructions say to remove the lid and set aside. Then peel back the film on the soup partially. You can see this film here. I pulled it back a little ways. This might have been too far on this one. I'm not entirely sure. This was the one I had the most trouble with cooking it. It popped at some point, either when it was boiling and it rocked and ended up spilling soup on my turntable in my microwave. So that was a little upsetting. It wiped up relatively easily, and we just moved on with life. So you peel back the film part way, and then you cook it for a minute and a half. Um, then you're supposed to leave it in the microwave for a minute. Because I had to transport these, I pulled this out and I put it in a plastic bag on a plate. Uh, then it points out that the bowl and soup can be very hot, which I found out. Even grabbing this top rim, which you would think that would be where you'd want to grab it because it's up away from it. That does not work. It's still very hot, so you will need something to pick it up with, either a towel or we've got some hot pads that we use to handle stuff with. And then from there, after a minute in the microwave, you remove it, you remove the film, and you stir thoroughly. Then you can microwave for an additional 15 to 30 seconds. Or you can stir if it needs it, and then you microwave for an additional 15 to 30 seconds. I did not do that part. I stirred them before by shaking it, and then I put it into the microwave, and I had to get over here to record, so I bypassed that step. And then finally, after you've completed all of that, you pull the film off the rest of the way, unless you'd taken it off completely in that third step, and you add your topping, whatever it happens to be. Uh, Presumably, if you wanted a different flavored topping, you could borrow it from a different soup if you had other cans of soup. Um, we're going to try it without the topping first, and then we'll add the topping so we get an idea of what the soup itself tastes like and the topping. Because if the toppings are made in house, then they may taste slightly different than the ones that are commercially available. And I want to make sure that the soup gets a proper analysis and isn't messed with by the topping before we can taste it. So first up, the chicken noodle. Is it chicken noodle? I know it's chicken. It is chicken noodle with the oyster crackers. We'll start with just the soup. Wow. You got to see this. I'm impressed. Look at the size of that huge noodle. It's a big old swirly egg noodle. I'm honestly surprised. I thought it'd be the little stringy noodles that you see in like canned soups. It's not bad. Personally, and I'll throw this disclaimer out ahead of time. I'm not generally a fan of chicken noodle soup. Not that I don't like it. It's just not one of my favorite things when I'm sick. I'm not a chicken noodle soup guy. The broth is okay as far as chicken noodle soup. Just something about it. As far as taste and stuff in this one, it has a pretty good taste. The texture is a little one-sided. It's all kind of a soft texture, which is probably going to be fixed when I put the topping in on top of it. The noodles still taste like the stringy noodles do, as far as I remember. There are chunks of what looks like white meat chicken in it. Honestly, it tastes a lot like a basic chicken noodle soup. I'm impressed with the noodles being thicker and being like big, chunky egg noodles, but the taste really isn't any different than a regular soup. We'll go ahead and put the oyster crackers on here, a few of them, so they don't all get soggy, and we'll give it a try with the crackers, so it gives it a little different texture, hopefully, and maybe brings out the flavor a little more. It's also a little, maybe a little light on salt for my, at the very least, for my preference. But I tend to like things a little saltier than most people. To be honest, the crackers aren't helping it any. Um, the flavor of the cracker and the dryness, it kind of overtakes the flavor of the rest of it. So you lose the soup flavor a lot, and they're not salted. The crackers are not. So that's one more kind of angle that they could have added salt to it, and probably would have been a little bit better because it'd bring a little salty note to the soup. It's I honestly I wouldn't buy it again. That's kind of my final verdict. They're neat and the concept is good, but I definitely wouldn't buy that one again. The flavor's just not there. It's not pronounced enough for my liking. I guess I need to salvage my spoon from that for the next one. The next one we have up is chicken tortilla soup with tortilla strips. And those are right here. Again, we'll try the soup first without the topping on it, and then we'll try it with the topping. Because, as we found in the first one, it's actually better without the topping. Still not a fan of that one, for sure. This one has a lot stronger aroma coming off from it. I can smell what almost smells like taco seasoning, maybe. Something along that line. Definitely something Southwest. It's got beans and corn and presumably chicken. Some looks like maybe some red bell peppers and stuff. If I can get it on the camera, there you can kind of see it. It's poorly focused, but you can see it. So we'll give this a try. It's a very zesty tasting soup. Again, the texture is pretty one note. It has a little bit of spice to it, which is a nice touch. I'm hoping the tortilla strips will give it that texture that I'm looking for to balance everything out. So tortilla strips, they just smell like regular, like you'd find in the salad toppings area or the produce section. I'll put some of them on top of here. One thing that I know with this one that I was having trouble with on the chicken noodle soup is it's a lot easier to actually scoop up because the chicken noodle soup has those big noodles in it that I was impressed with. It's kind of hard to get it scooped up on the spoon. So here we go with the tortilla topping. That one helps. It gives it a texture that's different than all the rest of it because everything else is pretty soft, which is to be expected from any canned soup, at least as far as I've found. The tendency of it to soften over time is pretty common. The tortilla strips, because they're corn tortillas, I believe, um, it the flavors match well with the corn that's already in the soup, and it helps kind of bring it together rather than just being this thing that's thrown on top. The oyster crackers in the other one felt disjointed. It's like it wasn't all part of the same dish, the same meal. Uh, Something I want to point out that I didn't from the beginning that probably should have. Each of these at my store was $4.45. So a cup of soup that it's a single serving container with your topping and everything. It takes a minute and a half to 2 minutes to cook. $4.45. Could you go and get a cup of soup from the random store or not random store, uh, restaurant or something that would be similar or comparable as far as taste and price? Probably, but if you like to have something at home that you can just, hey, I'm feeling like soup. I want to try this. I don't really want to get the can out and open the can and do all the can stuff, which I mean, they have the pull top cans anyway now on some things. This would be an alternative. I probably wouldn't recommend them, at least this far, for a regular use, unless one can of soup may be plenty for you. Um, if you know me, one can of soup is not going to cut it for a meal. I'm a big guy and I eat a lot of food. I'm a food connoisseur. So, flavor wise, though, this chicken tortilla, it's definitely a lot better. And I think it may be the spiciness under it that helps keep it kind of elevated, keep it um, kind of coming back. It's like I want a little bit more of that spiciness. It's just there. It's not burning. It's not lingering too long. Taste wise, if I was going for soup, I'd get it again. That's the chicken tortilla soup with tortilla strip topping. Moving on, we have another one that has oyster crackers. This one is the broccoli cheese soup, if I can move the right hand. Broccoli cheese soup with oyster crackers. This one, it's pretty fragrant too. It's nice to be able to smell the soup before you dig in because they say your sense of smell is a good portion of your taste. So you get kind of that teaser, I guess, of it. This one's a little bit thicker, which is to be expected because it is a broccoli cheese soup, which could be part of the reason it was popping when I was microwaving it. But strangely enough, the chicken noodle soup, it popped the most. It was the one that had the biggest problem with making a mess. So we get this stirred up. It's got chunks of broccoli in it, and it's very kind of cheesy. I'll just pour that off there so you can see what's going on. Then, of course, we could have the oyster crackers like in the first one. And I'm probably just going to use the same open box of oyster crackers because I'm definitely not going to be putting the rest of them on the chicken noodle. So let's see how this broccoli cheddar or broccoli cheese soup, how it tastes. That's actually really good. It's exactly what I would expect from a broccoli cheese soup. It tastes cheesy. The broccoli is still very much there, but it's not overwhelming by any means. There's a little bit of, I think, black pepper in it. There's some spots in the soup you can see. Well, I can see. It's hard for you to see because of the angle of my camera. The it gives it almost a spicy, just a hint. I mean, it's very much it's pepper, like table pepper or black pepper because it's black pepper. But it gives it a little bit of a peppery note, and I really like that. It helps kind of bring the flavors together. The salt profile seems to be pretty good on this one. I probably wouldn't need to add salt to this one. I might after the oyster crackers go in, but there's only one way to find out, and that is by adding some oyster crackers. And that'll let us find out how this is going to taste. We'll get them covered in soup here. Get us some crackers and a nice scoop. It adds a little bit of a crunch to it because there are oyster crackers, but I don't think it adds anything to the soup overall. It mellows out the taste a little, which in this case is actually a bad thing. So I would pass on the crackers on top of that and just eat the soup. So that, based on that, I probably wouldn't buy this one in this style as the toppers, the soup toppers, because there's really no point in buying the soup. And I dropped my towel. There's really no point in buying the soup with the crackers if it's better without the crackers. I'm pretty sure Progresso, because they're a pretty solid company, has a broccoli cheese soup in a can that realistically probably tastes very similar to this here. So flavor wise, I like it. As far as overall ranking, it's still going to sit between the chicken noodle and the tortilla, the chicken tortilla soup, because the chicken tortilla it was just simply the flavor was better overall, and the toppers worked well with it. Where this one, the toppers were not a good match for it. It automatically gets marked behind the other one. Hmm. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to eat it. Next up, we have the loaded potato soup with fried onion strips. Let's see if we can get that to refocus. Maybe, maybe not. I guess not. Loaded potato soup with fried onion strings. The fried onion strings are right there. I love these little guys. They're a delicious replacement for chips if you need a small little salty, oniony snack. This smells like bacon, and I am excited for it. Carefully pull off the lid so I don't make a huge mess. So we start with the soup again. By the end of this, we'll have this down pretty smooth. This one's a little bit thicker than the tortilla soup and the chicken noodle soup. It comes in about the same thickness as the broccoli cheese soup. The chunks in it are a lot chunkier. Okay, and then we tip. The chunks are a lot chunkier. I hope that is the potatoes, because there's not any chicken listed in this. It smells so much like bacon, and I am excited. So let's not wait any longer. Dive right in here. Mm. The first thing I notice is that it could use a little salt. It is a little low on the salty side. These are probably going to help that a lot. The flavor, it tastes like a baked potato, or like a baked potato skin, where they scoop out the potato and then they put topping and stuff on it. Hmm. Mm. It's very hearty. The potatoes hold together. They're not totally mush, which is impressive compared to the ones we've just talked about. The flavor's there. It looks like there's little pieces of bacon or bacon bits in this. There's some celery. One thing, one thing that's a little bit off-putting. The color is a bit strange. It's almost a tan, kind of a tan color, but it's not bad. And with the chunks of potato and stuff in it, it really kind of makes sense. But that was another thing I noticed from from opening it up was that the color was a little different than what I'm used to seeing soup. So we'll go ahead and put some onions, some of the French fried onions on it, or fried onion strings as they have it listed. And see how that changes it. Because this is going to be like putting French fried onions on top of your baked potato. It doesn't bring much salt to it. I'm actually a little surprised. Uh, you get the onion flavor from them, just a little bit on the edge. It's not overpowering. It does give you a little bit of a crunchiness, which I think this one really needed. The potato texture with the soup texture, and normally with a baked potato you'd be thinking, oh, there's bacon on here, oh, there's maybe some chives on here that give it kind of a little extra crunchiness, that sort of thing. So I think that builds out the profile a little better. I don't know that it brings much to it for taste wise, and they definitely could be a little bit saltier. It's still the best by far. And we have one left that could potentially unseat its throne. This one coming in is another one I was excited for, and it is the tomato basil soup with cheese crackers, or cheddar crackers, which cheddar is a cheese, so still not wrong. Oh, I can smell it so well. It smells delicious. It's tomatoey. It's gonna be like an Italian smorgasbord almost. Think a pizza, but pureed and put into a handy little microwavable bowl for you, with crunchy cheese to put on top, which is those little fellers there. And they're tiny. It's actually kind of cute how small they are. So we'll try the soup first. It's a very deep, deep red. Let's see if I can show this on here properly. It's a very deep red. I don't know if that's the dark color of the basil coming through it, or if that's just the how ripe the tomatoes were when they made the soup. That is really different. It's almost sweet. That is bizarre. That's a lot different than the tomato soup I've normally had. The basil is very very subtle, at least as far as I can tell. It doesn't overpower anything, but it's got a very very sweet note to it, and that's not something. Of course, I guess if tomatoes are ripe enough, they can be sweet. That's super interesting. super super interesting. I'm sorry. So we'll go ahead and add some cheese crackers on top of here to get the pour in here because that's always delightful. I think I've actually heard of people putting Cheez-Its or cheese crackers into regular tomato soup. So this isn't unexpected, but we are unexpectedly random. I don't think the crackers actually add anything to it in this case, and it may be just that I'm so taken off guard by the soup itself. But I think because the cheese crackers are very strong, and the texture is so very different from tomato soup and what I expect tomato. I mean, if it was a tomato bisque, maybe because it's usually a lot thicker. Um, but where it's a tomato soup, I don't generally put crackers in my tomato soup anyway. So it's kind of it's really taken away from the overall experience of the soup, and the textures I don't feel like they go well together, which is funny because all the rest of these, or a couple of them at least, have had troubles with not having enough texture, and in this case I'm expecting less texture, and then the crackers kind of overwhelm that. So flavor wise, I am really impressed with this one. I don't know why it's sweet, and I don't think, I guess there's 9 grams of added sugar for 16 grams total sugar. So there is sugar added to it. Um, I don't know if that's intentional. If it's, I haven't heard of tomato soup being sweet, and it's not overwhelmingly sweet by any means. Not like the pie we're about to try, um, but it is. It's different, and I like the notes that the basil brings to it. Would I buy it again? That's the ultimate question. That's really what we're looking for in these product reviews of foods and stuff. Would I buy it again? The chicken noodle, I would not. Absolutely would not. Then on to the broccoli and cheese with oyster crackers. I would not, and it's not because the taste of the soup. It's because of the oyster crackers. I'm not really an oyster cracker guy, I guess, because they didn't go over well in either of the soups. But the texture really didn't benefit, and the flavor didn't benefit at all from the oyster crackers in that one. Now, if I had just a broccoli cheese soup from Progresso, and knowing that it was probably the same recipe, I would most likely buy that. Not for $5 or for 4.50, basically. I don't feel justified in buying these soups, or at least those flavors, for the $5 price tag. Onto the chicken tortilla. If I was looking for a something a little different, something that I maybe didn't have on a regular basis, I might get this one again. With the topper, it works well, and the rest of it, um, that one I would probably get again at this price tag. The loaded potato soup. It's it's kind of bittersweet here. Not the actual taste. The taste was good, but the French fried onions that went on top of them, it kind of took away from the overall texture and the overall experience of the soup itself. The flavor wasn't there that I was expecting with the onions going into it. I anticipated the onions being saltier, and that may have helped, which, yes, I can add salt to it. But something like this, I'm really looking more something that I can throw into the microwave, have it be done so I can grab it and basically walk out the door. Um, so that's going to take away from that one, and I don't think I would end up buying this one again, especially not at the almost $5 price tag, $4.45. Uh, so that's unfortunate. I was looking forward to that one. The taste and the flavor were still good. The French fried onions, similar to the broccoli cheese, it took away from that. So that one's going to end up in third place, with the chicken tortilla soup being a solid second place contender. And finally, we come to the basil tomato soup. This one's first, even though the chicken tortilla soup worked better with its topping than this one did. I can eat Cheez-Its on their own, or cheese crackers. I mean, they're cheddar crackers. They're basically Cheez-Its. I can eat them on their own just fine. So, in buying this together as a combo with these, this might work better as a side to go along with it. So I have something salty to help balance out the sweetness of this particular soup. But overall, I really like the flavor of this. I'm not normally a tomato soup guy, and this tomato soup with the basil and the sweetness, granted, there is added sugar to it. Some people don't like that. But with the sweetness and everything of this thing, it's definitely a first place, and I would probably see myself buying it again, even though the topping didn't match with it well, and even though it's running at a $4.50 price tag. If they were on sale, roughly half price, I could see myself getting any of the top four. Probably, of course, more of the tomato and the chicken tortilla, which the label is on the wrong side, and the chicken tortilla. More of those two than the broccoli cheese or the loaded potato. But definitely this, and I'm going to look into it and see if Progresso makes a regular canned tomato basil soup, because I do kind of want to try that. So that's the verdict on the soup. And because it's Pie Day, is it Pie Day? It is Pie Day. So since it is Pie Day, we are going to wrap up using our review of the coconut cream pie from JJ's Bakery, because it's Pie Day. We have pie, we have pie for Pie Day, and pie will, in fact, save the world. So, to get right into this, if I can line this bad boy up, we got a coconut cream pie from JJ's Bakery. It looks promising. I'm excited for this. I have high hopes. It's it smells very coconutty already from the outside. Let me take care of this text here. We're gonna leave the pie on the top because everybody loves pie, and they love pie because there's the number pi and the letter pi, and they're both pie. So, coconut cream pie. It feels pretty dry overall. I know I talked about in my other ones, some of them come out and they're pretty soft, pretty kind of soggy like. And I don't have a table knife on me, so we're just going to chomp right into this and hope for the best. So, coconut cream pie from JJ's Bakery. Okay, it's very coconutty. Um, it almost tastes like there may be coconut flakes in it, possibly in the crust or in the actual cream. Doesn't feel like it now that I've made a mess of my hands and possibly got it on my microphone. It tastes very good. It's very, if you like coconut, I love coconut. So it tastes very good. This is probably better even than all of them up to at least the apple and the cherry. If you remember my previous video, you can check the card up here by this pie. Should be going up right nowish. Check that card. That'll link you to the other pie video since we are celebrating Pie Day. But it's super, super delicious. The middle of it, like I showed on the other ones, the middle of a lot of these pies, it ends up almost like drying out. And so it's got a lot of hollow spaces and stuff in it. And we're almost halfway through the pie. Haven't had an empty space yet. So this is filled well. It tastes delicious. Mm-hmm. I will buy that again. I will buy that way more than I should. 100% recommend coconut cream pie. Tastes delicious. I'm going to save the other half for my dessert after I finish up these soups. And that's going to wrap it up. So happy Pie Day, everybody. Once again, pie is going to save the world. I'm glad you joined us for this Pie Day video where we reviewed several different types of Progresso Toppers soups. And of course, the JJ's coconut cream pie. So till next time, stay random.